Hello, this is Moses Tyson Jr., and I am coming to address the Church of God in Christ, General Counsel Saffold, and the West Side scam, as I call it, that was just discussed in our last General Assembly here in Memphis, Tennessee. Approximately 2 years ago during our General Assembly, the West Side matter came up where Bishop Green and the Church of God in Christ was suing to get their property as they was trying to leave the Church of God in Christ. We determined, working with Pastor Watts and West Side, that they would not leave the denomination, just change jurisdictions. We got it all the way up to changing jurisdictions, and the matter came before the floor in the General Assembly 2 years ago. And it was affirmed then that West Side had never finished the transfer, so they would remain in the Church of God in Christ in good standing. So it was supposed to be over. When we got out of the session thinking it was over, it was going to be over, Bishop Green and the Church of God in Christ kept on going with the lawsuits, asking that the court put the church out. When we got the minutes, got ready to turn them into the court, we found out that they did not include the entire transaction of Bishop Green and Pastor Watts making up in front of the congregation, and Chairman Thurston affirming that they were yet COGIC and they had not left. We wrote to the General Secretary and to the chairman and the officials of the church, the General Board, everybody, asked them to please put the minutes in because they was telling the court something else, that what I had put in my affidavit was not true, and others. In fact, even the Board of Bishops did an investigation on Bishop Green, and the Grievance Committee recommended he go to trial because as part of their report, they even put on page 8 of their report, and COGICjustice.net has these documents being filed now. They put in there too that they had witnessed that it had been affirmed that Westside was yet COGIC. Anyway, the chairman, the general secretary, the general board, none of the officials would correct the record. In fact, Bishop Green said that I had lied in my affidavit with the court when I said it had been settled. We've been in court for the past 2 years. COGIC officials have filed, through the attorneys, have filed numerous lies to the court, claiming that Westside was no longer members and that they were asking the court to put them out. Well, Attorney Saffold gave a report the other night to the delegates of a matter that was supposed to be over 2 years ago. And in this presentation, he stated many things that was not true. And to cut to the chase, I wanted to read a couple things from his affidavit in 2022. We had solved this matter right after the April call meeting, the week of April the 6th, 2022. So this is 2 years later. And Attorney Saffold in his affidavit said on August the 4th, 2022, the correspondence, I notified Watts and Westside through Attorney Johnson that the clemency and the reinstatement that was requested was conditioned on all terms of the proposed settlement be met. And if they did not comply with all of the terms of the proposed agreement, all offers of reinstatement and special clemency would be rescinded and revoked. In other words, they was demanding that we give up a G Street property so Bishop Green could sell it to pay legal bills. He subsequently took that off the table of the paperwork, and we have that paperwork. But they denied all of this to the court. So he's telling the court through this affidavit that clemency had been denied when he knew that clemency was never even asked for or granted because it had been affirmed via tape that they never finished the process. So he tells them that special clemency would be rescinded or revoked. In a final letter dated August 31st, 2022, I notified Attorney Christopher Johnson that all offers for special clemency, Westside requests for good standing, and Westside requests to transfer were revoked, retracted, and or would be voided. I also notified Attorney Johnson that the civil lawsuit would continue as styled with Bishop Green representing the Church of God in Christ as allowed by COGIC's Constitution, that Attorney Grant would serve as attorney for all plaintiffs, including COGIC Inc., because they are on the top line. They are the main plaintiffs. Immediately after my August 31st, 22 letter, all settlement and mediation efforts ended. So he's telling the judge that they're no longer COGIC. We had a negotiation that ended, and he goes on to say that it ended and all terms were revoked, rescinded, and or voided, and Watts and all other defendants' status with the Church of God in Christ remained as it was before our attempt at mediation or settlement. Otherwise, there was represented to the court that they're no longer COGIC. Kenneth Watts does not currently serve as pastor of Westside Church of God in Christ in Pensacola, Florida, or any Church of God in Christ. Kenneth Watts paid his $400 report and has a badge saying Church of God in Christ. He attended as a lay member because General Secretary Laus issued a lay member credential through Bishop Thomas' jurisdiction, which he was not a lay member. He paid his $400 as pastor, but because they had played in the ARC system, which we cannot trust for an election, they gave him a lay member certificate when Bishop Thomas' jurisdiction did not vote him as required by our Constitution for a lay person to become a delegate. I'll get into that on another tape. So then he put, there is not a local member in the Church of God in Christ whereby Kenneth Watts serves as pastor. Kenneth Watts is only allowed to conduct service at 51 Marshall Lane under Bishop Green's authority for the state of peace while the complaint's pending before the court. Neither Westside Church of God in Christ or Westside Ministry, Inc., Church of God in Christ, has been given permission to transfer to any jurisdiction. We have the badge of the new jurisdiction. In reference to January 16, 2023 memorandum sent by Bishop John Thomas, was not authorized or approved by the General Assembly, presiding bishop, or any other local Church of God in Christ authority to accept Watts in Westside and Western Georgia jurisdiction or send out any such correspondence. All efforts at settlement and mediation with Kenneth Watts and the local named defendants ended in failure to reach agreement because Watts and the other defendants failed to adhere to the terms of the proposed agreement. Saints, that's a lie. There are no orders, joint orders of the presiding bishop and General Assembly, or final orders of the presiding bishop General Assembly approved, pending, or effectuated. You will see in my deposition that's going to be uploaded, we have a copy of the signed order with Bishop Shear's signature on it. I believe it's dated April the 6th, 2022. The document referenced as syllabus by the court and attached as part of the defendant's pleadings is not a document adopted or approved by the General Assembly of the Church of God in Christ. It's the recommendation made by a subcommittee of the General Assembly. Any amendment of this nature can never be adopted with a single reading. So he tried to confuse the court into thinking we was trying to make a constitutional change. That's why you have to read 3 times. Frankly, I believe not only is he dishonest, some of this is pure ignorance. He doesn't know a lot of things about how the church operates. Given my experience in dealing with him, he clearly don't have the information he's supposed to have. And so he goes on, it's my opinion, as the General Counsel of the Church of God in Christ, General Assembly, and the presiding bishop and general board, the court does subject matter jurisdiction over all matters expressed in the plaintiff's complaint. The Church of God in Christ, General Assembly, presiding bishop, and general board recognize Bishop Willie C. Green as pastor of the Church of God in Christ and Westside Ministries, located in Pensacola, Florida. Now, he's telling the court this, but then they was telling me something else. They was telling y'all something else, and have Bishop Green out there looking like a crazy man, which, in my opinion, that it may be something to it, given how he's acted and continue to act. In fact, Bishop Green called me and told me a backstory, and I suggested to him that he let it go. I wrote a letter to the presiding bishop and the general board recommending they just give him the $30,000 and let this go because we can't give away property so people could pay their legal bills that they created. That fell on deaf ears. This was about 2 years ago. And so he said he's authorized Bishop Willie C. Green to represent the Church of God in Christ in the above case as the Constitution of the Church of God in Christ authorities and has styled in this case. I also authorize Attorney Gant to represent all parties in this case. This was 2 years ago. I affirm and swear on the penalty of perjury that all of the above statements are true to the best of my knowledge. Done this day, February the 8th, 2023. Jonathan Saffold, General Counsel. Jonathan Saffold, sir, I'm telling you in this camera right now, you are lying. And you have lied to the court. This has been going on for years. And you lied to the General Assembly. You even went as far as to say that the Church of God in Christ was not asking that the church be taken or they be removed. As recent as February the 1st, 2024, you did a summary judgment that we will have uploaded on COGICjustice.net, where on page 14, you did a summary judgment. This is after I met with you in Los Angeles, after I talked with you again at the Leadership Conference in Atlanta. I talked with general board members that told me they had voted twice to withdraw the lawsuit. You kept running me around, and y'all submitted on February the 1st, you put, in order to prevail on its claim for a permanent injunction, plaintiffs must meet all of the elements of the temporary injunction in addition to demonstrate they will actually succeed or prevail. It goes on to say, granting a permanent injunction will be in the public interest because it would lead to the avoidance of confrontations between the parties and allow plaintiffs to peacefully enjoy the use and benefit of plaintiff's property without the involvement of law enforcement and other public agencies to prevent violence and keep the peace. So they had the judge thinking that if they don't put Pastor Watts and that congregation out, who's been in there the last couple of years, because Bishop Green doesn't come there, he has no congregation. He's asking them to put them out of the church permanently. And he's saying that they own the property. So you read pages 13 through 16, and then you will be able to see right here it says they have a clear legal right in that as a hierarchical church based on their laws and Florida law, they were the legal owners of the property and had a right to maintain that ownership. They're saying they own Westside Properties, which would be my church next, your church, anybody else. And they're asking them to put them out. So what he told y'all, you all in the General Assembly Wednesday night, was a lie. So this has been going on for over 2 years. Westside done spent about almost $200,000 fighting off these phony documents. They even went so far as to tell the court that when we asked for them to give depositions, they lied and asked for a hearing and an emergency motion to quash, saying that the presiding bishop had no information on this case. Bishop Dixon had no information on this case, and he did the investigation. Bishop Galbraith had no information on the case. Joe Lyles had no information on this case. And Saffold they even said he had no information on the case. Then went farther enough and said that the only reason why we want to do a deposition is to embarrass the church so they can give me the information and we put it on social media to make the Church of God in Christ look bad. These are court-filed documents. These are the lies that they have been filing for the past 2 years. So, Pastor, why are you doing this? Because I thought that Chairman Thuster would be honest enough to tell the truth, since he requested that we meet with Dr. Jenkins' committee, which Pastor Watts came all the way from Pensacola. I flew from California. We met with his committee. They didn't even give us a time if they was even going to do it or not. Westside attorney asked us if they was going to give a report. We requested that Chairman Thuster let us know it's on the agenda. So Pastor Watts left. I stayed in Memphis. And the bottom line is the report that General Counsel Saffold gave to the church is false. We have a trial set. They played games, so it got backed up. Frankly, I want to go to trial because they have lied so much. And if we don't close this out right, a lot of pastors are going to think that the National Church owns your property, and they do not. In fact, General Counsel Saffold sent me a text a couple weeks ago with other people on it saying he know they don't own the property. There's nothing wrong with the trust clause because the trust clause don't give ownership to the property. Y'all, those of you that own property, you know you can't take ownership of property on resolutions. You have to have deeds and have money in the game. You know that. As I said before, Bishop Shear, do COGIC own Greater Emmanuel? Bishop Porter, do COGIC own Greater Community? Bishop Macklin, do COGIC own Glad Tidings? Do they own West Angeles? I'll prove to you that you don't own it. When our great brother Bishop Daniels died, General Board member just recently, you didn't even wait 30 days before you announced how you was going to replace him. And after his funeral, General Board member Bishop Darrell Hines announced that I believe it's his nephew was the pastor. Did it on video. Who's the pastor of that church right now? Our big sister and successful Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter. She's the pastor of that church. So if the Church of God in Christ owned the property, they wouldn't have been able to do that. In fact, I whispered in Bishop Darrell Hines' ear, and he'll tell you this, in the leadership conference. I said, Bishop, don't go back and do nothing else with that church. Don't let them make a nut out of you. This system already tried to destroy him before because I was a part of helping clear him. We have a system that needs to be cleaned up. So I'm making this tape because I was hoping that they would tell the truth to the delegates. They did not. They did not. General Counsel Sappho, how you can stand in Mason Temple in the pulpit and basically mislead, deceive, and lie to them saints who flew all over the country. Some of them got health issues, faithfuls, just spent all kind of money to get here. For that jive is pathetic. The church is supposed to be audited annually. Where's the audit? I'm trying to give a few more days to the leadership to report the corporate officer who we have a report on with allegations of over $700,000 or so stolen or misappropriated. And I hope this brother don't try to run again for the position he's in. We don't need people in high positions with allegations of almost $1 million in theft in the 3-year period. The investigation was conducted under the auspices of you, Chairman Thurston. A general board member was over it. The system wanted to cover it up. So they sent it to a few people. I was one of them. Y'all was trying to find out who gave it to me. I told you who gave it to me. Deep Throat. And you've done nothing about this report. We have millions of dollars that agents have stolen and are yet stealing, and you refuse to address it. So I come to you, delegates, so you'll understand we have 4 lawsuits going on in Florida now over this West Side scam. Bishop Green has sued me. He has sued Pastor Watt's daughter for wanting to file charges against you, Attorney Sappho, for the lies you put in the deposition. He's even sued their church attorney. It's embarrassing. This is not the way the saints are supposed to act. This is not the way nonprofit corporations are supposed to be ran. Dr. Jenkins, I believe you tried to do the best you could. But how could a national treasurer oversee a local church national trustee board? How can they do that when they don't even do the audits they're supposed to be doing? I wouldn't recommend a local church allow the national setup to sell hamburgers in their kitchen until we clean this organization up. The files say it's a lot of corruption going on that's being ignored. But unfortunately now, we're in the court system. So Pastor Tyson, why are you coming on doing this? Because our time is running out. these things are now going into the court system. The bishop that took over $800,000 from Thomas Temple, and that pastor called the cops on the family last Sunday that turned in the complaint. That's like retaliation. National church leadership done nothing. I even wrote to you, Bishop Hill, and said you ought to at least call Mother Jordan. She's 83 years old. Can't go to church. Y'all don't call her. What has she done? They encouraged the bishop and his wife, which is fine. That's alleged to have taken the money from an internal review of the Board of Bishops, Grievance Committee, Bishop Dixon. How much longer can we do this? Bishop Cowell's church down there is still being illegally ran. Bishop Shear, Bishop Galbraith, Chairman Edie, Bishop Bryant, y'all know that's fraud going on down there in Florida. I mean, in Houston, Texas. I got arrested in that case. Bishop Cowell's, God willing, was going to be given a deposition in my lawsuit, so he could prove that what you, Attorney Saffold and Bishop Green and y'all said about me in court, that I was trying to create problems for the church. He's going to have to prove that you guys are lying. Because the national officials came to me and asked me to go to Bishop Cowell's to get him to agree to a deal that he agreed to. And if he agreed to the deal, you've been duping him ever since. You owe him over $1 million right now. He shut down bank accounts. Wells Fargo, 2019. You, General Counsel Sappho, filed charges against Martin Luther Johnson in 2019 for the fraud that they had committed. You can go up on COGICjustice.net and see the charges. Bishop Houston, you hid the charges for years. After you became General Counsel, Attorney Sappho, you ain't talked about it since. But because you don't talk don't mean your files still can't be read. The bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, the gig is up. I'm not going to cover up no more of this stuff. I have to defend myself now. And you sued this young lady. And to me, that crossed the line. Again, I say, saints, desperate times call for desperate measures. If we have any bishops that have any courage, I suggest you speak up now. Because the blood of the organization reputation is not going to be on Moses Tyson's hands. It's going to be on all of your hands who have been reading my diary for the last 8 years and refuse to do anything. Some of you guys are like, it's like a lady being raped in the back room somewhere, and you won't get the rapist off of her, and you won't call the police. What kind of people do that? We can't, we're not gonna thrive over that. Now we're gonna have an election. I have people ask me, who do you think should be presiding bishop? Who do you think? What difference does it make if we're not going to walk in holiness? What difference does it make who the presiding bishop? If nobody on that batch right now have the courage to stand up and say, hey, stealing millions of dollars of these hard worker people money is illegal, ungodly, and wrong. Stealing people churches and selling the property, pocketing the money, letting the people just wander in the streets is wrong. Kicking out mothers because they ask questions is wrong. Pastors being accused of going to orgies with transsexuals, asking for oral sex with young women, and they calling us and sending these letters, and it's been ignored. It's wrong. If you don't have the courage to do that, what difference does it make who's the presiding bishop? Real leaders stand up. They don't play games. We're not the government. We're supposed to be the church. We're supposed to set the standard for integrity. Now, y'all brothers been knowing me. I'll be 63 next month if the Lord let me live. I'm ashamed of you. We come up together. Y'all try to make me look bad. I don't care about that. I've been to death doors and back. I'm packing up to get out of here. I don't know what y'all doing. How many more people have to die before you take it serious? Our young people are watching us. We got young men trying to be bishops. They're not ready to be bishops. What are we doing? People only pastored for 2 years, a year. We're making them bishops, stepping over people. I mean, can't you see? We're cheapening a great organization. because of about 15 or 20 selfish, dishonest pulpit hustlers, in my opinion. And I am working on a list because it's not the whole church. I looked at the delegates the other night. They're just being lied to and don't even know it. Because General Counsel Sappho, you a smooth talker, but you are a big liar, sir. A very big liar. I love you. We stood in front of my brother's school. Kaiser named it Bernard Tyson Kaiser Permanente School of Medicine. We made a covenant. I'm keeping that covenant. That's why I'm talking to you. You wasn't strong enough for this position because there are some spiritual warfare at a level that you're not spiritual enough to ward off. You're running your own legal career. You're an officer of the court, just line, and then line. And I'm disappointed in our leadership because they knew you was not strong enough. And yet they're letting you commit career suicide. I love you enough to try to correct you. That's why Sister Felicia is bringing charges. And the courts will decide, did you tell the truth or not? Thank God we have the tape. I won't go any further right now. I don't want to go too long. But it broke my heart to see that you gave deceptive information to them saints. You should have just told the truth. And you owe an apology to the saints for lying to them. You owe an apology to West Side, Sister Felicia, Pastor Watts. That man fought in a war. He wasn't in the kitchen. He was on the battlefield, helping dying men, preaching out there on the battlefield in Iraq, only to come home to this. I believe God used him, though, because he's a righteous man. He's a righteous man. Y'all thought y'all could bully him and outspend him. Let me tell you something. You guys are peons when it comes to the power of God. You may have more money than him, but you don't have more God than him. That's why you had to run to the General Assembly and create this big old phony facade, because you couldn't outflank righteousness. Now, I'll close with this. It's up to you all where we go from here. You've already lost. It's just a matter of how bad you want to take this thing down. COGIC does not own these people properties. Pastors, get your deeds straight. Don't be fooled by this trust clause game. Trust clause don't give no ownership to nobody. That's the reason why I told Westside to put it into their thing. None of us own this stuff. It belongs to the people, period. Trustee board is supposed to oversee it because we all going to die, but the trustee boards will keep going. You just keep filling them. The pews have the power. They want to keep you dumb and ignorant. But you're going to be able to see by the documents. They told the courts they own our properties. And that's a lie. If you think they own the properties, again, talk to Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter. I'm sure she can affirm that what I'm telling you is true. So that's it for now. COGICjustice.net. COGICjustice.net. You can go up there and see the paperwork that's in the courts. There's going to be more video, social media presentations, because that's the only way we can communicate with you. Because Chairman Thurston, again, was too flaky to be honest with you or let us sit and talk with the chats with the chairman on their platform. So now I have to go to platforms like the Cousin Pastor. They talk about King Jives. King Jives was the one that introduced me to the abuse of Westside. So, saints, the bottom line is we need to do better. Again, there's a corporate official trying to run for his position again, but there's allegations that you have stolen over $700,000 in a 3-year period or so. That investigation was conducted by, under the auspices of you, Chairman Thurston. It's a General Assembly budget review. I don't want to get ahead of y'all and put the report out. Somebody can let me know when you plan on doing that, because it's going to the court files in these lawsuits we got going now, because we got to show the judge what we're dealing with. Frankly, at this point, I think it's racketeering and RICO. That's my opinion. God bless you. I love the Church of God in Christ. We're a great church, but we're going to have to clean out. We're going to have to clean out some of these cavities. We're going to have to clean out some of this corruption. Hopefully, God will raise up more men of courage to stand up for what is right. I heard the presiding bishop say you want to set aside $100,000 to help struggling churches. For a national church, and Bishop, that is true. That's a good start. But look at the millions of dollars of COGIC agents stealing that we're not turning in. How are we going to have somebody over big departments that then stole into the millions of dollars? And they're running again. No. To me, that's lunacy. So much for now. I don't want to keep rambling. This is Moses Tyson Jr. Please keep all of us in prayer. There's no malice. I'm confident that right will get the victory. Right will prevail. And please keep all of the victims who have been abused by some of these agents in your prayers. Soon I will, God willing, deal with Bishop Dexter Bell. Pastor Williams up there police went to his church, put him out in the pulpit on a Sunday morning in front of the members. Bishop Dexter Bell is not the pastor of that church. We couldn't get the leadership to send a letter. And there's another church we're dealing with down there. So it's so many issues. Brother Warren Curtis, who was raped at 12 years old and passed around by some clergy, his lawsuit with the church, for whatever reason, General Counsel Sappho, I've been telling y'all we could settle all that stuff. But he needs prayer. He calls all the time. And I take up time with him, whatever. It's so many cases that's been ignored that hopefully, eventually, Chairman Thurston, you're going to really tell the General Assembly about. But in the meanwhile, saints, I'm just asking for your prayers. God bless you.